tourism is at the vanguard of Greece's fight back as it endures its worst crisis for many a decade. But can Greek tourism rely on its traditional reputation to woo more visitors and help rescue the country? In this week's Fast Track special, I'll be finding out how individuals and new social networks are creating diverse and innovative projects that they say will lift this country from the brink of catastrophe. Greece has been at the epicentre of the Eurozone crisis this year, a fault line that's threatened to bring the whole show down. But with tourism here responsible for 1 in 5 jobs and 20% of GDP, it's the one sector that could revive this country's fortunes. We start in the city that's been the theatre of the most dramatic scenes of the crisis, images which have so often been repeated in international media. Athens. The most recent elections in Greece promised a respite from both speculation about any imminent departure from the euro and more mass protests in the streets. The summer holidays and searing heat, 42 degrees during our time in Athens, also served to diffuse tensions, but everyone knows it's only a temporary break. I saw some harrowing examples of begging and poverty even around Syntagma Square in the centre of the city, while many small family-run businesses in the heart of the capital continue to feel the pain. Kostas Avrabos and his son Gianni run this hotel and 2 others in the historic centre of Athens, not far from the Acropolis, but also very close to the main areas of criminality and destitution that plague this ancient and distinguished metropolis. Kostas has been in the hotel game for over 40 years, but these days life is very tough. Room occupancy is down to 35%, from a previous average of 85 to 90%.
Είμαστε πολύ κοντά, δυστυχώς.
We're very close to shutting down. We're struggling and making a lot of sacrifices. But it's not just about us. When a hotel closes, there are sometimes hundreds of employees that will lose their jobs. That is the saddest thing.
Let's see a room then. Give me an example of a good room.
Yeah,
Gianni showed me around his family's 4-star boutique hotel, Chic, where only 14 out of 51 rooms were occupied. Wow. Stylish, isn't it?
Yeah,
I like this.
Small and...
The family spent millions on building and renovating their properties, and they say it's the small-scale family businesses, not the big chains, that are feeling the heat.
The banks are closing the doors to the small business, and the big companies doesn't have this kind of problems. The government treats them special. They have a special treatment from the government, also from the system. It's how the system works. We have emotions with our business. Big companies and in the market, they don't have emotions and feelings. They just go for the numbers.
Athens has traditionally banked on a steady flow of tourists drawn by its classical heritage. Greek is Europe's oldest written language, but this might not be its finest moment. One of the unsavoury byproducts of the Greek debt crisis has been the epidemic of graffiti all around the city. Most of it is not very clever, nor funny, nor very grown up. But nonetheless, in wiping the slate clean, there is a kind of symbolic benefit. graffiti is a Greek word, by the way.
Είναι γεγονός ότι με την οικονομική κρίση
The deputy mayor is leading the drive to purge Athens of any visual pollution, at least in popular tourist haunts like this ancient cemetery in the Plaka district. Last year, many locals rolled up their sleeves and pitched in on a mass clean-up project.
Okay, so I do the paint.
Yes.
And you? You'll do that, okay.
Many of the new volunteer groups have chosen to bypass government and set up their own projects.
Ναι, τα τελευταία 2 χρόνια περίπου, μπορεί και λίγο περισσότερο.
We've now got people who offer guided tours for tourists and also volunteers who are cleaning places that the local authorities don't manage to get round to on a regular basis. People have adopted these places as their own.
Andreas told me he and his team target ugly tags and political slogans and tend to leave the more aesthetically pleasing street art alone. It's all about setting the record straight and starting again. Greece may be the home of mythology, but some current myths about the state of the country are going way too far, says the deputy mayor.
There's a myth that we want to embezzle money out of the Europeans. We don't. We want to pay them back, but without being in this prolonged recession, which only creates more unemployment.
Many Greeks, especially from the younger generation, are so annoyed by the way that their country is coming across in the international media that they decide to take matters into their own hands and become tourist guides themselves. Hello. Hi, how you doing? This should be fun.
Lazarus is deputy editor of a motorcycling magazine, and money-wise, he's doing relatively okay. But he's so keen to rectify distorted perceptions of his beloved hometown that he signed up to a new business scheme called Dopios, which means locals in Greek. Set up by 3 members of the diaspora based in San Francisco, Dopios aims to connect visitors with a rather different type of guide, like Lazarus.
Lazarus, fantastic ride, beautiful spot here, great view. What does this place mean to you?
Oh, this is a very special place for me because I used to come here as a kid with my parents for small excursions, you know, and especially in the weekends. And now that I grow older, I used to come with my buddies to ride our motorcycles without having the danger of traffic or all that stuff.
Now, I think most tourists wouldn't know that this existed.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of place that you like to bring people who are from another country?
Yes, exactly. I want to show them something alternative, something they don't know that they exist, something that they have to know a local to get to know it.
The aim, says Lazarus, is to show tourists authentic local perspectives, their rhythm of life, not the official guidebook sightseeing version. So how does it work?
Every local charges a fee for the experience he offers. For example, for this ride I charge about $50 per person.
Because you have got quite a good job. Do you need the money to do this?
No, it's not the money the first reason I do it, no.
Do you feel this is my city and I want to show the world this?
Yes, of course. It's my country, it's my city, it's my home. It's my home place. So I want to show them that it's very nice and very beautiful to live here in Athens. There are very nice things to do. And you can enjoy life like no other place in the world.
So, how much damage have the likes of Lazarus got to help repair? Well, the country still enjoys tourist numbers way in excess of its population, and recent weeks have seen a late surge. 2012 could now see a return to last year's record figure of 16 million visitors. but Greece is still not in the Premier League of global destinations. So now it's the job of the new tourism minister, in her first senior position in government, to come up with new ideas so her sector can lead the national fight back.
Our short-term goal is to give this message that Greece is back to business, that everything here is normal as ever, and that the visitor will enjoy their vacation. But the long-term goals are to have better infrastructure, better tourism infrastructure, marinas, golf courses.
The golf course panacea. That's a Greek word, by the way. It's a solution I've heard from several tourist ministers around the world. But what about the problems besetting Athens in particular?
The truth is that right now Athens is going through a crisis as regards tourism. Because a lot of the problems we have had in Greece are really centered here in Athens. If you see the images of riots and demonstrations, they were always here in the center of Athens. What we're always saying is that this is really centralized, and this will not affect travelers going to any other destinations.
As for the future, well, it isn't necessarily the European and American market the Greeks are looking at, rather the new markets of India and China, Russia, Turkey and South America. Again, like rich golfers, that's who Greece's competitors are targeting too. So, coming up, we look at other examples of new ventures around the country aiming to boost Greek tourism and kickstart the country's recovery. It's got classical civilization and wonderful coastlines, but tourism in Greece took a knock earlier this year thanks to the Eurozone crisis. Now it's recovering, and as I'm about to find out, outside Athens, there's great hope that it can be the one sector to pull the country out of its economic malaise.
Just a few months ago, tourists in this country would have been worried, not just about Greece exiting the euro, but also about being left stranded because of strikes in the transport sector. But today, as I leave Athens for Thessaloniki, everything seems calm again.
Transport generally could be improved though, partly because so many destinations in Greece have limited air connections. Thessaloniki in the north, Greece's second city, is however relatively well served and offers a very different experience to the rest of Greece.
While all eyes have been on the hustle, bustle and aggro of Athens, Greece's second city, Thessaloniki, has quietly gone about its business, and pretty successfully too.
This year marks the centenary of Thessaloniki's liberation and incorporation into Greece. It was yanked from the ruins of a spent Ottoman Empire in a huge Balkan bun fight. Today, its colourful and eventful past is shaping its tourist future.
And a radical new administration has brought in a fresh brand and motto: many stories, one heart.
of life is relaxed. It's not so hectic as in Athens. We don't have the huge problems that Athens has. We have the seafront, which brings a totally different atmosphere to the city. This is very important.
The old fish market is at the very heart of the city. Thessaloniki has always been an important commercial centre.
The plan, the deputy mayor told me, is to attract more cruise visitors, to introduce more low-budget carriers, to encourage younger travellers, and to appeal to the lesbian and gay market. But Thessaloniki does have one trump card.
One reason why this part of Greece, the north by the Aegean coast, keeps those visitor numbers up is that many of those visitors don't just come from the west. They come from the east, Eastern Europe, Russia, Israel and Turkey. And you can see why they feel so at home here.
It's all down to history. The Turkish connection is tight. The main symbol of the city, the White Tower, was built by the Ottomans.
You can live and experience the history in Thessaloniki while strolling around, going to coffee shops. People were not coming and destroying the history in the past. They were building on it. And there were these communities living together until the beginning of the 20th century, until the big World War started.
In 1923, a huge enforced exchange of ethnic Turks and Greeks between the two countries has also led to strong family ties, symbolised by a simple cup of coffee. Spiros's refugee grandparents called it Turkish coffee, his parents Greek. Either way, it's incredibly strong. And another source of tourism is those coming to pay respects to relatives who were deported and killed by the Nazis.
Well, Jews who have no idea of persecutions in Thessaloniki are very much afraid.
Thessaloniki was once known as the Jerusalem of the Balkans.
And so to another part of Greece that suffered badly during the Second World War, Crete, the largest of the country's 140 islands, that in the 1970s became an icon of Mediterranean holidaymaking and still today stands proud and unique. Crete's second city, Chania, is an old Venetian port town with an enticing stretch of harbour and winding back streets in its old town.
Mass tourism, package tourism, backpackers, and a growing number of yoga and meditation retreats have become Crete's staple diet. It's bread and butter, if you like. But resourceful Greeks are now realising their unique natural produce and traditional culinary prowess can help reboot and redefine tourism on this island.
He has 7 small gardens like this. They use in the kitchen, they use what they produce.
So what do we have here?
He has carrots, beans, tomatoes.
From vineyards to allotments, Crete has long had a tradition of local fresh produce creating the classical healthy Mediterranean diet. And this 32-year-old entrepreneur thinks culinary tourism is the next big thing for the island.
There is this expression, I use it usually when I do presentations about food is a new sex. You know, sex now is so liberated. Food is a difficult thing, you know. Get a nice plate of food, a tasty one, local ingredients is what is difficult. And one of the things that visitors are looking for is to taste what is local. Also the tastes and the different recipes and the ingredients. They like to know where their food came from.
And out of the frying pan, into our mouths. Food cooked in Crete's finest export, olive oil.
On average, every person in Greece gets through 23 kilograms of olive oil a year, apparently.
One of the main things is that it's not bitter because of the way they process it, where they just crush the olive. When they make the paste, they don't actually shred them, so you don't get the pits inside the bitterness. So this is a 2,000-year-old tree from Africa. There are
Olive tree.
yeah.
Zoe dumped her high-flying government post to pursue her dream and is currently building a culinary tourism centre in a tiny village nearby. She believes diversity has to replace an over-reliance on sun, sea and the sand in her native Crete.
I want to create a centre for culinary tourism and you know, like activities for tourists. We don't have a lot of that here. So I would run cooking seminars or wine tasting, food tasting, puppetry seminars, other crafts and ceramics. And just to get people to know the local traditions there and the culture in an interactive way.
And like many young Greeks, her passion stems from disillusionment with the older generation. Love of her own country means she had no intention of leaving for elsewhere, even when the offers were there.
The ship is sinking, and if we all abandon, you know, no one will be there to help us, help Greece, help our islands, our communities to stand back on their feet. And it's like you either stay here and fight or you leave and then you come back to what? There is nothing to come back to.
No doubt about it, when it comes to the euro, Greece is drinking in the last chance saloon, and its fate will be clear by winter. But either way, this country has been under the microscope like never before. And as I've witnessed, stung by the general perception of their country, pockets of resistance and enterprise have been sprouting up everywhere, led mostly by the younger generation. They've decided enough is enough, and that from now on, they'll take more responsibility for this amazing and important country's future. And I wish them the best of luck.